Wayne Alexander, but his career has rather stood still this year, largely because of injury. Now he's fit and he has to get started again. He was in action at Wembley tonight against Viktor Fesechko from the Ukraine. Here it is.
The return of a bruised and battered warrior, 5 months after his valiant challenge for world honours with just a day's preparation. Freudenbanger Wayne Alexander returns to the ring. And it's one here against the very capable Viktor Fesechko of the Ukraine. But if Alexander catches you, it's very often lights out, or you even might be out of the ring. Ask Paul Samuels about that.
Yeah, but funny, the first thing I noticed when I look at him tonight, Alexander, is he doesn't look too fleshy. He's 11'5". I'm wondering how comfortable he's going to be at 11 stone in the future. I don't know.
He's got an enormous weight advantage over Fesechko, who scaled in at 10'11" last night. Alexander, the British light middleweight champion, who needs to get his career back rolling. Very heavy-handed puncher. Broke one of his hands and badly bruised the other in that brave effort against Namibia's Harry Simon for the WBO title back in February. He came out with a lot of respect that night too.
Yeah, he did his back balance a little bit of good. He obviously well paid when he took the fight at such short notice and didn't do his reputation any harm. Put up a tremendous show.
Strong jabs already, and looking for the body, Alexander, against the man in Fesechko who fought last week and went the distance with Roman Karmazin, the WBC mandatory contender. So if Alexander can stop Fesechko, that'll be a pretty big achievement.
His punches don't have the sharpness we're not used to seeing yet. I don't know if he's timing them properly or if the Russians are a little bit awkward, but they're kind of ponderous, pawing punches at the moment from Alexander. Like that sharpness.
O.J. Abrahams, who's been sparring with Alexander, told me he hits hard enough, his hands are fine, no problems. But when I spoke to Jimmy Tibbs a little bit earlier, he was a little bit more unsure, and especially when they get back into the raised puncher's gloves that they use often in championship fights, he might always have problems there.
Yeah, but I think big punches, the hands weren't made for punching, so I think people with his power, they're always going to have trouble with their hands. He's just taking just a lack of sharpness in the shots, a little bit ponderous at the moment.
It's a almost cautious start from Alexander. Just pouring with some of these, not putting the full meat into them. Fesechko just trying to tuck up, stay out of range. They do look different weights in there. First round back for 5 months, Alexander. He's won 15 of 16, the only defeat there to Harry Simon, no disgrace there. Simon has just won the world middleweight title.
One of them pouring jabs, snappy jab, whether you're southpaw or whatever, right?
Snappy jabs, Jimmy Tibbs is saying.
Yeah, well, that's just what I was saying. His punches looked a little bit ponderous. He just has to sharpen them up. What Jimmy Tibbs is saying is bang on.
Yeah, switch round, but you've got to go up a pace. You let him fight, but and when he goes, you've got to step up on him. Yeah. And then bang, bang, let him go again. Right? You've got to step up on him, right? Don't just let him get him and then...
He was boxing well, but just the body shots actually were the best punches from him in that round. Some of his head shots just looked a little bit slow, just lacking in sharpness. So I'm sure as he warms up, the sharpness will come back again. Kind of slow.
Here's the second round. The 11 stone, 154-pound, like middleweight division. Boxing as a southpaw at the start of this. Wayne Alexander in the stripy blue and white shorts. Looking for the big fights out there against the likes of Takaloo, Richard Williams, Steve Roberts, maybe even Adrian Stone, if he's got a future after his demolition by Shane Mosley last weekend. Is he now being a little over anxious? difficulty settling back into it. Although that was a good shot from Alexander. And the nose of Fesechko bloodied.
See, he has natural power. He should just be letting the punches go, but he seems a little bit too precise in what he's doing, trying to pick them too accurately. Just let them go, and the power will be in the shots.
Just trying to control his boxing more now, Alexander. Whipping in the uppercuts. 13 knockouts so far. Possibly the hardest hitter in the entire division, although Gary Lockett may disagree, although he's still at a young age.
This is better, a little bit of speed in the punches now from Alexander.
It's always exciting to watch Wayne Alexander. He showed some real heart and guts to keep with Harry Simon despite the broken hand. Eventually went to body shots. That was at 24 hours notice, and he did get very well paid, but he must build on that and believe that he can compete with the very best. I wonder if confidence is a problem with Wayne. He's quite a nervous sort of kid.
But I don't see this as a fight that should be worrying him. I mean, Fesechko is a little bit awkward, he's very cagey, he doesn't take too many chances, he's difficult to catch cleanly.
Right to the body, and he's starting to work Fesechko over now. The man from Ukraine, maybe a little weary after his fight just a week ago. He has won 33 of 53 in a long career. The 31-year-old from Kirovograd in the Ukraine.
Watch the heads now, yep. Heads banging together then.
Just doesn't look physically strong enough to be able to deal with Alexander just at the moment. And there is Fesechko and the record. He's lost 18. He's a journeyman who knows his job. He's boxed here several times. He lasted 4 against Howard Eastman. He went the distance with Gary Jacobs back in '97. Adrian Dodson beat him in 3, but he was giving a lot of weight away. He's half decent.
Yeah, but he knows his way around, he knows how to look after himself. A bit of an improvement in Alexander's work in that round, letting punches flow a little bit more. But I still feel the snap's not there, the usual snap and speed that we see in these punches.
Is that because he's been out for 5 months, or are there still effects from the Harry Simon fight?
Well, it could even be hand trouble. Maybe it doesn't have the confidence to let the full-blooded shots go as yet, I don't know.
Here's the 3rd round. The British champion Wayne Alexander in the blue and white stripes. 28-year-old from Croydon in South London. Still lives at home with his family. Room full of boxing trophies and, of course, the Lonsdale belt he wants to keep in that room. Desperate for another British defence, or even the first one. He hasn't fought at that level since he beat Paul Samuels a year and a half ago. Why can't they get these fights on with the Steve Roberts and the Takaloos as Fesechko comes back well?
Maybe that's one of the problems tonight. It just looks like he's having a kind of poor day at the office. Maybe it's a bigger fight that he needs. Maybe he's just going through the motions a little bit, doing enough to win here. But for me, there's something missing in this performance from him. He keeps switching to southpaw. I don't know what that plan is.
Yes, I've seen them do that before, though, once or twice. In this very ring, he had a knockout win over Paul Denton in the first round, August of last year. But just doesn't seem to be able to get the meaningful matches. It's probably why he had to take the Harry Simon fight, as well as giving him a big purse.
It still looks a little bit sluggish to me. I mean, he's winning the fight, there's nothing to panic about. He's certainly busier than Fesechko, and his punching's better, but just looks a little bit dull tonight.
Is he carrying too much weight at 11.5?
Well, he doesn't look too fleshy, he looks in excellent shape, and Jimmy Tibbs doesn't put fighters in who are not in top condition, so I don't think that's the case.
Absolutely. Recent defeats for the Tibbs camp in Steve Murray's loss to Bobby Vanzi and Jason Rowland going down to Ricky Hatton in Manchester the other week. So he needs some good things from Wayne Alexander. Fesechko is starting to grow in confidence here, because Alexander can be hit. He's not that difficult to miss.
He's just keeping that little bit busier than Fesechko, so as far as the result goes, it shouldn't really be in question. I think I'd like to see a bit more sharpness in what he's doing.
Fesechko, who's in the white and black shorts, trying to let the punches go. Alexander just shakes his head, trying to rattle the Ukrainian. He even offered to lend him a pair of his own shorts, because they both had blue to start with at the weigh-in last night. But he didn't do too badly in the white ones in round 3. What's Jimmy got to say?
I'm telling you. Fucking do the work. Do your fucking work.
It's tough.
I know, we just do your work. Yeah. You're all tough. Do your job.
Well, they're not pulling any punches in there. Pretty angry.
Stand there like that. You're kicking one back. Yeah, you're kicking one back.
Well, I think this was the best little bit of action from Fesechko. Let some punches go. He got a little bit of confidence. He's still in that safety first shell. See, Alexander, he's poking the punches out, but the snap just doesn't seem to be there.
10 seconds.
That's what I'm speaking of here. Just let some shots go. A sudden show of confidence from him then, but didn't last too long.
Wayne Alexander's comeback fight has not gone that smoothly here against Viktor Fesechko, the 31-year-old. He's been over here so many times. Also fought Paolo Roberto, the Swede. Debut back in '92. Alexander started his professional career in '95, and it's been patchy. He had a bout of shingles and has had injuries. There's no doubting his power. It is awesome. And everybody says that in the game.
But the power comes from good timing, and if his timing's off, as it seems to be tonight, then the power's not there. There's certainly something missing in his performance tonight.
I suppose you've fought a world title, and then you come back to 8-round level. British belt's not on the line. Maybe there is a tendency to switch off, possibly. He was hanging around outside Wayne, sorting out tickets and things, and not sure, maybe the mind's not all there tonight. Do you think he's number one in Britain, or would you put him behind the likes of Adrian Stone and maybe Steve Roberts?
I think the good thing about that division, that there's hardly anything to split that the top half doesn't. And that's what makes it such an exciting division. But I tell you, it won't be striking fear into the rest of the light middleweights with this performance. This is definitely low key.
Finally, we got a good match with Anthony Farnell and Takalu, which was over so suddenly and decisively, with that peach of a right uppercut in the first round, forcing Anthony Farnell to switch camps. And Takalu, who's here tonight with his friend Danny Williams to celebrate as WBU champion. Could fight Scott Dixon next, but Alexander's also looking for another opportunity at a version of the world title. To the left hook on the counter from Alexander, and Fesechko had to ship that.
See, it's an added problem when the time's not there. You have to force the work out, and it's more tiring, and it's probably it's possible that he's actually beginning to blow a bit as well. It's just one of these nights when things aren't falling into place for Alexander.
Why is he switch hitting more often tonight? Is it because he can't find a way through?
No, I don't think there's any reason. I mean, he's keeping Fesechko under control. He's never been a serious threat. Just keep him on the end of the long punches, whether it's orthodox or southpaw. I'd rather see him stick to orthodox and try and get that right hand working better.
There's good jabs at the end of the round from Alexander. Finally starting to settle. Well, it's all one-way traffic. There's Philip Fondou in the corner, the agent of Viktor Fesechko, who's trained by Dmitry Diarchuk. No danger of Fesechko actually winning this, is there?
No. Alexander's always been that little bit busy. He's a few little successful bursts now and again, but that was he raised the pace there. That's what he has to do. He has to try and raise the tempo of this fight. Force Fesechko. He's an upward fellow, experienced fellow. You have to force him into making some mistakes. You can't just walk around the ring after him, and that's pretty much what Alexander's been doing up until now. He has to raise the pace, drop it, raise it back up again. Just start confusing this fellow and start forcing him into making mistakes and get him opened up.
10 seconds.
Stand up. Come on. Big breath. Round 5.
Go, how you finish? Round 5.
Jimmy Tibbs and Frank Black really G'ing Wayne Alexander up there for the last half of this one. Get moving, son, they're saying to him. The British champion, former English ABA light middleweight champion as well. Talent's there. 17th fight, though. At 28, needs competitive action. Well, he's getting rounds here.
Yeah, one of the problems actually is that Fesechko's good at grinding out the rounds, and if Alexander should start to go a little bit tired here, and as I said earlier, when you have to force the work and things are not falling into place and the timing's off, you tire so much quicker. No signs of that happening yet, but he's definitely lacking sharpness here.
Fesechko was stopped in 3 by Laurent Boudani, who was the WBA light middleweight champion for a while. So the world-class fighters can get to him. But he boxed last week, and Alexander hasn't boxed since February. There's certainly ring rust in there tonight. He won't be happy with his performance.
No, I don't think so. And you can hear from in his corner, Jimmy Tibbs is far from happy. They realise there's something missing, so they're just trying to drag it out, trying to get him to move up into a higher gear. Then maybe he can start performing better. But this is better. This is what he has to do. Stay on top of this fellow, pressurise him, don't just stalk him all the time. This is much better.
Yeah, volume of punches now from Wayne Alexander for the first time. Putting his shots together well.
But then he can't sustain. I think he's blowing. Definitely, it's hard work for him tonight.
Suddenly he just stepped away then, as if to say, well, I'm giving you 10 or 15 and now I'm having a break.
That's what I mean, he can't sustain it. I just don't think it's happening for him tonight. Everything's being forced and he's feeling the pace here.
And Fesechko's starting to read that, I think. A little smile on the face of the Ukrainian fighter, whose big heroes are the Klitschko brothers, Vladimir and Vitaly. He's got pictures up on his wall back in Ukraine of them. Left hooks coming in from Fesechko.
Well, it hasn't discouraged Fesechko in any way. He's still in there firing.
Jimmy Tibbs there in the corner. I saw him mouth, "Wake up, Wayne." Just finding it really hard. Still smiling, but there's blood on the lip of Wayne Alexander, and with Takaloo ringside, I wonder what the rivals are thinking of this.
Huh? Don't lose all, he's breaking. Don't you let lose all, will you?
No. Oh, he's tough, isn't he?
He's bending now, listen to me.
Body shot, yeah.
He's tough, isn't he, says Wayne.
See, this is a good little burst from Alexander, but it's noticeable that a little 10-second burst of punches, but then he had to step back and drop his hands and start gulping some air in. But that was a good burst of punching. He just has to raise the tempo. He has to pressurise this guy rather than just follow him around the ring. He's an upward customer, not easy to look good against, but Alexander must move up a gear. see, hasn't dented the Ukrainians' confidence in the slightest. He's still in there firing, still fancies the job.
I don't know what they're saying in that corner because I don't understand, but Dmitry Diarchuk, the trainer, is really shouting at Fesechko. Maybe he thinks he can win this. Well, a rather weary-looking Wayne Alexander enters the 6th of 8 here in the 11-stone division. World champion Oscar De La Hoya holds the WBC light middleweight title. The other 3, the WBO, WBA and IBF, all vacant. There's plenty of opportunities for the crop of British talent. And Wayne Alexander can't let a European journeyman like Viktor Fesechko come back at him. And start to dominate the fight. It's a big showcase. A lot of domestic fighters are here at ringside tonight before the Danny Williams-Julius Francis match. A lot of trade people. What are they going to be thinking?
Well, I think they know the same as Jimmy Tibbs and Frank Black in the corner know it's a bad night's work from Wayne Alexander. They can box so much better than this. It's an awkward customer he's in with, but there's something missing in his own makeup. I mean, on my card, there's no problem as far as victory is concerned, but it's the manner of victory that's not too pleasing.
And certainly not as dramatic a Wayne Alexander as we're used to. That ferocious barroom brawl he had with Paul Samuels, the up and downer with O.J. Abrahams, and with the Irish southpaw Jim Webb, always gives us plenty to shout about.
He's still just keeping that little bit busier than Fesechko, just keeping him in his place.
And some damage to Fesechko. Alexander still pushing out his punches. They haven't looked solid, have they?
No, right from the first round, I thought he looked a little bit sluggish. The timing's not there. And as I say, everybody has nights like that. And to his credit, he's stuck with it and he's just trying to grind out a victory here. But it's not been easy for him, and I'm sure he's not enjoying this.
And Fesechko is starting to. Only 16 stoppage wins, so not a big puncher. And just over the welterweight limit rather than light middleweight. I mean, we've got Wayne Alexander probably, what, winning the first 4 rounds, maybe tying the 5th?
I mean, I've given Fesechko a share of a round. I don't think he's ever worked long enough in a round to win it. He's had nice little bursts, but you have to say, although Alexander's a little bit sluggish, he's been working all the way through, pinning the jabs, southpaw then back to orthodox again. So he's just been keeping himself in front, but it's the manner that I'm sure nobody in his corner will be happy with.
So back to the Jimmy Tibbs, Wayne Alexander chat. What are we going to get this time?
If you keep fresh.
Every round.
Every round. All I want you to do is jab, left cross, jab,
There's the Ukraine corner. He will fold, Jimmy Tibbs was saying. Do you think he will?
No, but I think that's just a pep talk that Wayne Alexander very much needs. I think the message is, no matter how bad you feel, Wayne, this fellow feels worse. Just a little pep talk, but no signs that this fight is not going to go the full way. See, now and again, Fesechko bursts into life, comes back with some little bursts of punches, but he never sustains it. And I always feel that throughout the round, Wayne Alexander has been plugging out the jabs, just keeping himself in front.
Seconds out, round 7.
6 minutes left of this, and Wayne Alexander will be pleased to get through it. And I'm sure he won't really want to watch the video for a while. Against Viktor Fesechko, the Ukrainian light middleweight, who has really pushed Alexander hard. More Alexander has pushed himself hard tonight. No doubting he's got a real determination still for the game after his defeat to Harry Simon. Just an off night. There is Jim's card. All Alexander, but it doesn't really tell the story.
No, probably it doesn't give a true reflection on Fesechko's contributions tonight, because he's worked away. But just as we're seeing now, Alexander just keeps pushing out the extra few punches that Makar's keeping him in front.
Yes, he's just got the extra zip, the moves. And while we haven't seen that concussive power, rather surprisingly, I thought we may. I thought he might have a real point to prove here, Wayne Alexander, with all the other light middleweights. And Fesechko catches him with the right hand and starts applying the pressure. And Alexander just shook his head and looked shaky. Well, he's been down before in his career and had that reputation in the amateur. But that normally springs him into action. Maybe that will. Well, it hasn't.
So he just keeps prodding out the jabs, just keeping Fesechko at arm's length most of the time.
Good right to the body, though. That one got through. The arm's a little bit more ragged now from Fesechko. Puts in a burst every so often. Well, Wayne Alexander was becoming a bit of the forgotten man in the light middleweight division. He wanted to establish himself a bit more strongly here. The other fighters are getting more attention at the moment. There's not much coming from the Alexander right hand as well. I wonder if there's further damage to that.
He's going to sleep a little bit in this round as well. He's starting to back off, which is the last thing he wants to do at this stage in the fight. He doesn't want this fellow's confidence to build. Fesechko just having a nice little spell here.
Good body shot from Fesechko, and Alexander almost went down. Then he shakes his head in defiance. That was what Harry Simon caught him with, and for a moment I thought he was going to have to take a shot count.
Okay.
Well, at this stage in the fight, when you're feeling pretty tired and breathing is hard enough, the last thing you need is a body shot. And that one's winded him.
Come on.
See, that's the thing. He can grind out the rounds. He can do this all night long. And Alexander really finding it out a real struggle. So he'll be pleased there's only one round left. And that was just a stumble. I mean, that was nothing approaching a knockdown. But he doesn't have the strength now to push Fesechko away now.
But what about here?
Yep, you can see the little winch there.
10 seconds.
There was a lot of confidence in Fesechko as he comes up to the last round here.
Final round. Wayne Alexander's got 3 minutes to get through, and hopefully for him notch up 16 wins out of 17. But my feeling is Viktor Fesechko is going to go for broke here. Alexander tired, hasn't enjoyed it one bit in there tonight. He's just got to get through it and put it behind him and move on, and hopefully get a more meaningful opponent and fight which might get him up motivation-wise. It's been slightly worrying.
I think he's really feeling tired in there. As I said earlier, the whole fight has been a struggle for him. Credit to him, he's stuck in there and tried to grind out some sort of performance. But this is a real struggle for him.
Let's not forget, Fesechko is no mug. He did take Romain Karmazin the distance to WBC #1 last week. But it's Alexander's ideas and performance which we're really evaluating here. And I've liked him a lot at times. I think he's very capable and very talented. What has been wrong with him?
I mean, right from the first round we were saying something wasn't quite right. The timing wasn't there, the sharpness wasn't there. It's just one of these bad nights, and he'll be glad to see it through.
It's been a harder battle than he would have liked as well. I wonder if those hands have fully healed. He's getting some support from the crowd. He's popular a man around the circuit.
He's not winning this round, Adam. He's coming off well second best. This is his worst round so far.
Big right hands from Fesechko, and Alexander has a little look at Ian John Lewis, the referee. Distress signals are coming out. There's blood from the mouth, the gum shield's loose. And there is a very worried look on the face of Jimmy Tibbs. Thank God this is the last round.
Well, this is a big round for Fesechko, but even allowing for that and a poor performance, I still have Alexander 3 points up. So it'll be interesting to see how the referee sees this.
You've got to ask the question, should he have had that fight with Harry Simon at that stage in his career?
I don't think that's anything to do with this, Adam. There wasn't a punishing fight, really. It wasn't a long punishing fight. I think this is just one of these nights he couldn't get it going against an awkward and experienced opponent, and it's been a struggle all the way through, but he stuck in with it. And that's what champions have to do. They have to dig in and just try and grind out a performance. He's done that, but it's been pretty poor all the way through.
Again showed his bottle, Wayne Alexander. Not lacking in that department. Still digging in those body shots. And he's got the win, and he's a mightily relieved young man. He goes over to raise Viktor Fesechko. One tough, hard man from the Ukraine. But I'm sure there's going to be a disappointed corner there. No doubt he won the fight, Wayne Alexander. Pretty clear. But would that have sent out a warning to the other light middleweights?
I don't think so, and I think they'll be fairly alarmed at the way he faded badly in the last 3 rounds of an 8-rounder. He's a championship distance fighter. That'll be a big worry. I wonder maybe if he is just too heavy. I mean, 11 stone 5 yesterday at the weigh-in. I don't know what weight he is tonight. He's maybe just too big, too heavy.
He's ground out the win, but that's all it was.
Ladies and gentlemen, after 8 rounds of superb international light middleweight action, referee Mr. Ian John Lewis has scored the contest as follows. For Fesechko, 76 points. For Alexander, 77 points. Your winner, the light middleweight champion of Great Britain, Wayne Alexander.